Hello, my name is Shelley and welcome back for another episode of Heartland 3 in Black Eyes as PRC. So, in previous episode, well, the battle is still raging on over here in Himeji, and then, well, I suppose we might actually have to retreat some troops from there. We got some more troops heading in there, so we've got plenty of reserves there, so I think what we shall do is we'll take, well, that's 15 organizations still. Actually, we don't really need to retreat these quite yet, now that I think of it. Hopefully today we'll be doing landings into Hokkaido. We've got a bit of troops already waiting in there. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and take the transport fleet from here. We'll actually go ahead and pick up the division from Jeju. So that we'll have a full core in here. Then we can probably take the assault ships, wherever those might be. Ah, there they are. Oh, right, we had one repairing. Right, so we'll take these, move them in here. So the idea is that we'll have 3 sets of troops. 2 that will land, and then we'll make an invasion port, and then the rest of them will go through there. But actually, before we get too far ahead, okay, so we are getting ground attack over here. We might need to go ahead and start retreating at least some of these troops, including potentially pulling these units back. So yeah, in the west, we're slowly retreating. Hopefully we can make sure that we don't get cut off. There's a lot of Soviet troops heading in here now, so they might be able to turn it around. But they also, Germans are pretty darn close to Moscow, so I'm somewhat concerned about all of this. But I think with some finagling, we can move our troops near Moscow. We can make sure that Moscow doesn't fall, at least. But we also wanted to, or I rather would like to do some runway cruising down here in Japan as well. Then do we've got the close air support over here. I suppose these could do runway cruising up here. We do have our naval bombers, which I suppose could still do some port strikes. Occasionally, anyway. In Osaka. If we can damage that battleship, we did sink the other battleship already. And I have had a bit of a look into the save file on the Japanese side of things. So they got about 80% of their fighting troops in Osaka. That's over 200 units in there. Most of, well, a decent chunk of those are actually not combat units, mind you, but there is a lot of combat units anyway. But that's basically most of the combat units that they have in the home islands, at least along the front line in here. So if we do landings in Hokkaido, there's going to be a few garrisons, some headquarters, some conscripts and all that. There's a chance that they will then start pulling a lot of their troops away to the north, but we shall see how that goes. We are still having a bit of lack of officers, though, which is not something that I can do too much about, I'm afraid. Can I actually... Oh, I can do bombing runs all the way to Tokyo. Sure, let's start doing some runway cratering up there. The more airfields that we can keep damaged, and the less planes that the enemies can then use against us is going to be a good one. You've been attacking... Hold on, Kochi? Oh, right there. Yeah, you don't need to be doing that bombing run anymore. You won't really have the range for all of that. So I guess we shall just let you rest for a time being. We could potentially bring you into Hiroshima, to be fair. Maybe actually, yeah, we'll just bring you as a reserve up there. So we've got a decent bit of air activities now. Ooh, export copper. How much do I have? We've got, okay, yeah, we've got 9. We're going to fall selling some to the Soviets. I believe we purchased some from the Soviets, so it's a bit of a interesting triangle trade there. Not really even a triangle, to be fair. But yeah, the enemy should still be taking fairly heavy losses, but they still got... Actually, if we have a look at the numbers in here, unfortunately we can't see the total numbers of troops. But what we can see, that we've got a bit more... or some reserve brigades, or more reserve brigades than combat units, which of course we could tell from this already. But the enemy's got 42 brigades committed to the attack, so that's 6 times 7? So those are all full divisions currently. Wait a minute, is that true? I suppose it could be. But then they've got 833 brigades in reserves. And gives us a bit of an idea of how massive amount of troops they have in here. Let's also go on speed 2. I don't think we need to go on speed 1 right now. Oh, right, there's a bombing run at Osaka. It's, okay, below 60%. Oh, they just got the repair in there. Well, that's not good. Luckily, we're not getting intercepted in here right now. Ooh, ammunition capacity. There we go. It does slow down our planes a little bit, but that's about it. Aerodynamics will increase the speed a tiny bit, and ooh, there we go. Yeah, naval base took a bit of damage. Not massive amounts, mind you, but it's a little better than nothing. And then, of course, the ammunition capacity is ahead of time, so we can take that one off the list. And what was the other one? Aerodynamics, right, so that can be cancelled for now. So we've still got quite a few techs being researched, of course. Ooh, there we go. Getting some nice damage done on the airfields. There's, of course, still a lot of Hungarian bombers bombing us over here in Ukraine. So I need to keep on retreating slowly but surely. But it's gonna have to be a bit of a fighting retreat. Oh, and there we go. We've got a bit of damage on the enemies in Truga, although they are not attacking us right now. But if we can keep the divisions in there somewhat weaker, that's alright. Okay, the mercenary infantry over there is down to 12 organizations. Probably time for that one to retreat. So Noah can pull back for the time being. He's got Tank Buster even. Oh, and Gairon is under attack. Oh. Okay, there's several enemy units attacking. I have a suspicion though that since the enemy... Oh, wait, no. Okay, they didn't pull us out of the combat, at least. But at the same time, I would rather at least take one of these already retreating. The other one can probably hold on for a little bit longer, just delay for the other unit to get in there. Oh, Industrial Zone Organization Advance. A bit more IC efficiency and IC, a bit less manpower, and a bit less resources, but I think we're mostly fine with those still. Army Group Headquarters Advance, and Air-Launched Torpedoes Advance, okay. Well, the Air-Launched Torpedoes is ahead of time. Oh yeah, it's 1948 the next level. Well, that's going to take a while then. Or would be taking quite a while. We are going to be getting quite a bit of industry very shortly. We'll also be getting some naval bombers, some tactical bombers. And eventually we'll get some submarines. We've got our core of infantry underway. Not necessarily the best of troops, but that's probably going to be going to the Western Front, quite frankly. Also, we've got the... No, the transport haven't actually arrived there yet. Never mind. We do have the landing craft up here that we should probably actually go ahead and move to Shishuka. Pick up the naval infantry, then bring it down here to Toyara. And then we're going to use that fleet to do landings in here somewhere. Ooh, there we go. That's another 1,000 casualties from a close as well. We're also taking quite a bit of casualties, especially on the western side. So it took like 1,300 in there recently. Because our planes are currently trying to protect Moscow currently, so our troops are pretty much unprotected there. Which is why it's time to retreat from that one. Over almost 3,000 casualties from that. Now, admittedly, a decent chunk of that was from bombers, so it's not necessarily as bad as it could be. Let's go ahead and pull back. Actually, the mechanized division can probably stay behind. We'll send one of these infantry units to retreat. And then one of these infantry units to retreat. So at least we got some troops on the rear there. And we are slowly retreating in such a way that we have a solid front line of our troops, or like unbroken front line of our troops again. Ah, there we go, wing aerodynamics, that's probably ahead of time. We can drop that from the research queue. Still got 185, and that's not even most of the things that I kind of would like to research, but a lot of it's not really worth researching yet. Okay, the general over there needs to retreat. What else do we have that is in pretty bad shape? Organization-wise, most of them aren't really that bad in terms of strength, and actually, no, the rest of them can stay there. Still got 15 divisions here defending, and they've got, well, a lot. Ooh, 197 now attacking total. So it's just increasing further and further. Now, luckily, once we do our attacks in here, it's entirely possible that they will not pull out the troops from the combat in here. So there might not be too much opposition in the north against us. And then if we can keep this battle going for long enough, they will probably just keep rotating the troops in and out, at least for a while. Ooh, do we have a lot of rubber? We have 4, so unless it's snow, Chile, you're not going to get any. Of course, since we don't have enough crude oil to expand our synthetic rubber production anyway, that does complicate things a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull back another unit from there. These two at least are digging in. They are taking another airfield though, which is not great. Also, I've got so many of these headquarters in here. Oh, we do have 2 units as well in here. So I'm going to go ahead and get one in Kuroharat. The other one could potentially... Actually, we're just going to keep that in here. We'll take the headquarters, start retreating a bit further east. Same with the army. We can pull that one all the way to Stalino. Just a little bit shortly. The Soviets might get surrounded and destroyed over here in Odessa, but it's just... since they do not have the air coverage really to protect our troops, and we need our planes in Japan for the most part. Ooh, Naval HQ, there we go. A bit more morale for our ships, and a bit more morale for our planes. Very good. Are we ahead of time on those? No, not even nearly. No, we won't get the actual headquarters, but having the morale boost is still going to be kind of useful. Ooh, there's a ground attack in... Ah, there we go. We did intercept the planes at least. So they probably won't be doing too much ground attacks in here. But they did do something. I don't know actually if they managed to drop any of their bombs, to be fair. Oh, and they're taking Gawa on. The Western Front is definitely looking a lot worse for where we got. Oh, right, we got one veteran HQ division. Or division HQ, rather. Let's go ahead and just replace it to one of these. And then we'll combine the HQ into the garrison. And now we've got the transports in here, so let's go ahead and rebase this one in Bujan. We've still got some planes in here, although these could probably move a little bit closer. We will move these as a reserve planes for Maizuru. So we can do a bit more intercepting in here. We do have the close air support down here. Is this one... We could do bombing runs on Yokohama. Sure, let's start doing some runway cratering in there as well. So we're trying to runway crater basically all the provinces, but I don't know if we are actually doing that. Okay, that's still continuing runway cratering. That's the reserve planes. We've got the light bombers up here, which are resting. Then we have the medium bombers over here, which are still doing their job. These are ground attacking. There's a ground attacking Tsukura, and then we've got some interceptors in here, which I'm hoping are at least reaching all the way up here. Let's do the air interceptor day and night. Something like that. It's probably a bit more than is needed, really, but it's alright. And we got air combat over Moscow. There we are. Let's wreck those German planes. We've got 8 wings or squadrons repairing, and we've got the 4 that are active. So at least that gives a bit of defenses in the... Oh, research center. Well, there we go. That's quite nice. Radar advance and high velocity gun advance. I'm guessing... Oh, actually, both of those are ahead of time. Right, so let's drop that one and the high velocity gun we can drop. We can now start researching the RB piercing discarding sabot ammo, and that's going to give us a decent... Actually, how much does it give anti-tank guns? 3, and heavy AT gets 5 plus piercing from that. That's pretty decent. So much so that I'm actually going to prioritize that research. Also, how's the industrial zone organization? We could probably go ahead and research that a bit further. And I suppose we have the resource substitution tech available right now. No, or the decision available quite yet. It's not quite yet, but eventually we will. I think it's time for us to retreat from there. Oh, and Yokohama, we did a bit of strikes there. There was actually no planes in there. There is planes definitely in Tokyo, though. Still in the bombing rounds in Truga. And how's the... So that transport is in position. We've got some of these in position. Actually, we did not get the naval infantry in position quite yet. So let's rebase in here. And then what we're going to do is we'll probably have the infantry land over here in Hashinohe. And then we'll have the naval infantry land to the northern half here. We'll get a port probably in... maybe in Satana. And then what we'll do is we'll transport in the corps of infantry. Oh yeah, we've got the submarines already in here, so they can't actually do a counterattack against you there either. From the south. Unless they can dislodge our ship from there, which is unlikely. We've got another mercenary infantry that probably needs to pull back now. We've got maybe a few more mechanized divisions that we can send back into the fray. We've still got a fairly bad officer ratio currently, but we are recruiting like 200. As soon as we can start to... or take a bit less damage from the enemy bombers in the Western Front, that's probably going to reduce the officer casualties quite significantly as well. But that being said, at least the enemy is definitely taking a lot of casualties in here. They have 200 units now in the combat tied down. Alright then, well, I mean, if that allows us to get all the way to Tokyo while they continue fighting on this, then I'm okay with that. It's probably not very likely to happen, but there's always a chance. Oh, and there we go. They're trying to do another bombing run. We're intercepting them with 8 squadrons. Oh. Those planes are not going to be flying for a little while, I reckon. But the Hungarians are still doing a lot of bombing runs over here in Western Front. Which one did they do? Oh, it's this one that they're bombing now. Okay. Oh, well, we got a bit of a combat over Takayama. There we go. Wreck those planes even further. So while we do need to do quite a bit of rotation of troops along here, at least we've got good infrastructure around this area. So we could easily regain the organization. We're not taking that heavy casualties in terms of combat either. And we're slowly pulling the pillboxes. Now, they're not really affecting the combat yet. But I suspect that later on it might have at least a bit of an impact. But whether it's going to be sufficient or not to remains to be seen, but regardless, we do know that the enemies have a bit of lack of manpower. About somewhere between 100 and 150 below their actual manpower in terms of how much they need for reinforcements. 4-engine armament research advance. Oh, that's going to unlock up the... Yeah, we're going to start getting the heavy bombers eventually. So those would actually be quite useful to have at this point. Long range, and they would do a lot of damage on with the strategic bombing. We've got 17 divisions in the combat total. Oh, and there we go. There's another 1,000 casualties. Did pretty good damage on Tokyo Airfield. Or air base there, so that's good. They still got a lot of air bases, though, that we need to take care of. But we're starting on the work, at least. Right, we've got the troops in here. It's the 17th Corps. That's the Garrison Corps, isn't it? I presume, anyway. Probably, yeah. So we can load... Actually, we're not going to load up the 1st Corps itself yet. We're going to load up these into the ships. We can load up the infantry in here into the ships. And then the naval infantry can be loaded into the ships. And then it's probably time to start getting in here. We'll get that one. We'll get this one. And the transports can probably move in over here as well. So that way we can get 15 divisions in very quick... well, a quick schedule in here landing. So we'll just need to, like, what we'll do is we'll land the infantry over here, or one of the corps in here, which is in the assault ships. They'll land to the south of Mutsu. And then we'll have the naval infantry take both of these provinces. We'll get up a port in one of them, probably in Satana. And then we'll try to take Sapporo and clear out the island itself. We could probably actually go ahead and clear out the Kuril Islands as well then. Ooh, Maizuru is intact. Well, that's good. They're not going to do much in that combat, I reckon. Ooh, and there we go. Another runway creation on Yokohama. That's a pretty damaged airfield now. And a good ground attack in Zugura. And that's a lot of interceptors that they had in Himeji, but they didn't do that much. But the motorized division needs to pull back. We'll pull that one in there. We've got some more infantry over here that we could always send in as well. Not that we initially need them too badly, but yeah, no, we've got a fairly good troops in here. And the enemy must be taking tons and tons of casualties in this combat. Ooh, Kanazawa, that was a good airstrike. Damaging some planes there, and definitely damaging the airfield. In such a way that there won't really be a problem. We do have the light bombers in here. Oh, we won't have the range from there. Maybe if we get these to Toyohara. Then we'll have range to help in Hokkaido. We definitely want to get the Chromite over here in Hokkaido province. Okay, so the transport ships are almost in here. The assault ships are moving through. And it looks like the landing craft is almost here. So within the next few days, we'll be able to start the landings. Oh, and there we go. Bombing in Nogaya. Taking a little bit of losses perhaps in there. But oh, ground focus started. Yeah, there we go. So build times are reduced for ground stuff. And we get a bit more manpower as well. We kind of do need it, although not desperately, but it's good to have a bit of extra income. Definitely getting some fights there. Let's actually have a look at the Western Front again. So we pulled back most of the troops already to lines in here. I think this one should probably just keep on pulling back. That can pull back. So I'm going to let the Soviets take over the front line if they so choose. And we can start moving our troops to the north. But I really want to help clear out some of the German troops near Moscow. Because in Moscow, we at least got some air coverage. And then if we can encircle a few divisions at a time and start destroying them little by little, I'm sure that by 1950 we'll have won the Eastern Front. Of course, depends on how the things go. I mean, I'm sure that the Germans are starting to run a little bit low on manpower as well. So eventually they'll start running into big problems there. But yeah, right now, the Soviets have a massive deficit of manpower. I think it's in the thousands of manpower, something like that. The battle in Himeji is still going relatively well. I mean, we may need to retreat the mechanized division from there. It's 11 organizations, so yeah, that probably makes sense. But of course, we've got... Well, actually, no, these are not ready to move in. But of course, we do still have 8 reserve units in there, and we've got another 2 infantry heading in there. So I think we'll be mostly fine. Right, and the ships have arrived. Let's go ahead and start doing the landings. Those land there. These are going to land there. We'll have... the ones that don't have quite as much organization will land there. The other 3 will land to the north. Especially since we don't actually need... They won't be able to do attacks across there anyway. And we want to have troops landing as quickly as possible. Oh, there we go. Small navigation radar. Very good. That is probably... Yeah, that is ahead of time. So we'll grab that off the list. And the troops are landing. I do wonder if that is taking any... Oh, they are moving some troops away. But I think they haven't taken troops off from the combat yet, but it's the ones that were not in the combat that are now moving north. Which is kind of what I expected. Now with the submarines in there, we should be able to clear out Hokkaido without too many issues. There we are. And one has not there. There's a bit of troops in Mutsu itself. Right, we encircled the enemy. Let's go ahead and set up a invasion port over here. Called a temporary naval base. 25,000 supplies. It's a bit expensive, but it's definitely worth it. And I do have the... Yes, I have the convoys automated, so there is going to be a convoy coming in here. In which case, we should be able to transport the troops into Satana already. Then we're going to go ahead and take the Naval Infantry Corps, and then I suppose we could send this one back to Korea. Although having the... Actually, the offshore troops can stay there for now, because that's going to help us clear out the port. It will give support attack, and maybe these can give support attack as well. While we've got some troops heading in here, so we can probably go ahead and... Actually, which one of these... That one's not really ready for combat yet, but these two can start pushing towards the port. So we've got Battle of Sapporo, and... Oh, Armad. So there's only one that is kind of a fighting unit, everything else is just headquarters in here. I got the shore bombardment of 15% penalty, so that's pretty decent. Meiji we've still got 15 units total there. They are still having quite a bit more than we do. But that's alright, they're moving some troops north, but not too many. We will, of course, eventually run out of supplies if we can't take the port, but I suspect that we can do that. Actually, that reminds me. Oh, third echelon advance, and carry aircraft prototype advance. We've got the bombers up here. Can they reach... Oh, they can just about reach Mutsu. Right, we'll do ground attacks in there. Defensive, so they might not be doing constantly... Oh, and there we go. They're intercepting quite a few enemy planes. We're trying to do bombing runs and measure it, but that's not going all that well. I'm hoping that the... Oh, there we go. The reinforcements have arrived. Let's go ahead and send in most of these into Sapporo, and one of them can go to the north. But that should make a bit of difference in the combat there, I suspect. I mean, if we have a look at the manpower difference in the combat, they've got 7,500, we've got 95,000 almost. Well, we probably had 95,000, but we're taking a bit of losses. But we can see that there's still a lot of troops in Tokyo, but it's mostly headquarters. Like, there's not that many actual combat units in there. In the meanwhile, the battle in Himeji, I mean, the enemy is still over 200 units attacking. But hey, we've managed to get to a bit higher percentage in officers. So that's helpful. And I suspect that Mutsu will fall in due time, so I'm not too worried about that one. As long as we can take Sapporo, we'll probably clear out the rest of the island real quick, and then we can start sending more troops south. If we could start advancing down here, at least take Akita, that would be pretty decent. And then maybe get... Actually, where's the... So that's Mountain Woods. It's Mountain Forest. Hills Woods. And that's Hills Woods. So somewhere around here would probably be a somewhat reasonable protection, or like defensive line. Depending on the situation, of course. Oh, they got a garrison on the northern half of there as well, but that's alright. Got a decent bit of bombing runs in Truga. That's just a headquarters that is moving out. There is one armored division, I think, as well, that is moving north. But we've got a decent anti-tankers on a lot of the troops that are going to be landing, so it's not too bad of a situation. And then I suppose these troops can still stay in the combat. We are running a little bit low on fuel, though, but I suspect that we can improve that over time. I mean, we've got the crude oil production in Xinjiang, which we only got 2 oil rigs right now, but the base production is 24, so each level that we put in there is going to be quite a bit. And basically, it should be getting to 96 plus techs, so yeah, that's going to be probably over 100 in here once we've built all the levels there. When do we get the next one? It's probably that one, isn't it? So October. We'll be getting actually 3 oil rigs there during that time. What's the... Right, this one. Let's go ahead and build the oil rig there. Might also build a little bit of the police center, just in case. Right, so have we... Okay, yeah, the enemies in Mutsu are definitely taking a decent bit of losses. It's mostly the headquarters, mind you. I mean, if we have a look at the manpower situation in the combat, they've got 18,000... Okay, 18,000 men is a bit more than I suspected, but I suppose it's mostly the conscripts, which aren't really very combat-effective troops, but they're numerous. There's going to be another enemy unit that will be pushed out of the combat. Well, probably several enemy units that will be pushed out of the combat here in Himeji. Now, in the meanwhile, let's have a look at the Western Front. We've pulled back a little bit. I think I'm going to continue pulling back. Also, from here, we can start retreating a few units at a time. Honestly, at this point, I don't think we need to worry about that. Like, the Soviets have pushed back the Germans a little bit north of Dnipro. So, if we were to just effectively take the entire army... I don't know how far we can actually have this one from the army group, though. Or how far would still be close enough, rather. We'll redeploy everyone in there. We'll see after that how's the situation. But I really... Oh, zinc shortage. Well, that's not good. Can I buy zinc from... I suppose I can. But who can I buy it from? Hey, Soviets. Sure. Let's give them some more money. Of course, that does mean that they won't have necessarily that much of a zinc surplus then, but it is what it is. I'm pretty sure that I can use the resource a bit more smarter, I suppose, than the AI can. Or utilize them slightly better, at least. Oh, and Sapporo is down to just one garrison in there, so there's probably not going to last very long in the combat. And how's the defenders? Oh, there's going to be a counterattack into... well, actually, not yet. And we've got a bit of a combat over Kanazawa. Anything that we need to retreat? No, not yet. Do we have troops in here? We've got at least one more motorized division that is ready to go, and the mechanized corps could actually go back in. You know what, we'll send the mechanized corps in. And then we could probably go ahead and retreat the armored division. Let that one rest for a little while. We're getting a decent bit of experience for the... well, not only the units, but also the commanders. Okay, they've got 4 units in Mutsu, of which one of them is the conscripts division, and then just some headquarters. Which the headquarters, some of them do have some protection units there still. Ooh, and there we go. Victory at Sapporo. So we'll be taking both of this. Actually, we're going to overrun this unit, I reckon. Unless they retreat there really quickly. Oh, there we go. That's a nice damage on Tokyo Air Base again. And there we are. I suppose this one, as soon as it's ready, should be heading northeast. Oh, they're starting to do a bit of ground attacks in here. I'm not entirely sure if I like that. Not really, but I suppose that it is what it is. I've still got quite a bit of... oh, right, we're building the anti-aircraft guns in Himeji as well. I'm hoping that that's going to keep the enemy bombers somewhat at bay, or at least provide a lot more damage on them. Oh, first aid advance. There we go, that's probably ahead of time. Oh, yes, yes it is. So we drop that from the list. We are going to get a petroleum refinery actually sooner, so that's going to allow us to get more fuel from the oil that we have. We don't really have a very oil-rich areas around us, which does complicate things. Okay, there's not that much defenders in here, but it's still going to take a while. Oh, there we go, Victory Ashikawa already. Did we have another one? No, we didn't have the extra unit there quite yet. Oh, and they got the garrison in the Sapporo in time. Well, it will probably shatter fairly shortly with this much of firepower. And I believe our troops are now... well, they're on the move. How long will it take us to actually reach any important location is a good question, though. So how far is the... so the main HQ can support up to 370 kilometers. So I could potentially move this, like, a few provinces to the west, I think. Like, actually, how much was it again? Oh, 3750 is, well, so we can probably redeploy over there, so it's just a little bit closer. And then how far is the Western Army right now? That's 1350 that it can be. So it's, if it's somewhere over here, it's still probably close enough, and then we can start utilizing troops from there, cut off some of the enemies around Tula, for example. Destroy the enemies in there is like going to be maybe 2 or 3 divisions, so it's nothing too drastic. And then slowly but surely, maybe clear out the river line over here, then get on the northern side and maybe cut off the enemy at reserve, and destroy a few units and so forth. So eventually we'll be able to do a lot more into this war effort. I mean, we held the enemy at bay over here for a while, but then we decided to overextend a little bit. We didn't even overextend all that much in the end, but it's just, it was still too much. Let's keep on moving the troops. If we can get to Hokkaido, that'd be brilliant. That's the chromite in there. Well, there's combat medicine. Very good. So casualty trickle back is slightly higher. It's not a massive increase, but it is an increase. Ooh, one in Sapporo. Oh, and now the garrisons are attacking us. We are surrounded, though, which is a bit of a problem. And now we've got multiple combats on some of these, but at the same time, it's just a matter of time before we can wreck the enemy in here. I suppose we could take the one of the infantry divisions, stop their attack, so we can defend slightly better. I mean, the garrisons are still going to have a massive problems trying to break us, even though we are surrounded. I'm going to take one of these naval infantry, actually, to help in the combat to the south. Because we definitely need to get some more strength to bear in there. And also, another thing that I suppose I could do is start transporting some of the headquarters. So transport that one over. We've got the naval infantry up here. Well, that's actually within range still, so that's not really needed. But I suppose we could go ahead and transport that. We may need to set up a second army in here, to be fair. Oh, we've got our mercenary division that needs to pull back. I suppose the Hillswoods is going to be faster to move to with the heavy artillery, so that's where we'll head to. There are still quite a few enemy units in the combat, and they're still taking quite a bit of casualties as well along the way. Doing some good damage on the planes, but I do see that we're also made pretty good progress on this episode because we are out of time. So if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also check out the links down below in the description. But other than that, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, bye bye.